Welcome to the bold analysis. The airline, Kenya's leading airline, is still grounded. The flights to different destinations are still stranded. And remember, there are some people that, because we have a direct flight to New York that connect from the Nairobi, from the JKA to New York, and things are simply not adding up. The senior-most CEO of this country, William Samoei Ruto, sneaked out of the country to attend the climate conference in Egypt, and he's been followed by Raila Odinga. They're out of the country, or rather, let me just be specific. William Ruto is out of the country and did not show any intent or any single documented attempt to avert the strike. But so the question is, why do you think the president has abandoned the plight of Kenya Airways? Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and also like our video. I want to stress on asking you to like a video, because when you like our videos, our rating improve, and through that we even boost our revenue stream. So we are in a quagmire in the middle of nowhere. While on this one, I think it is time just to face the reality. The rubber has met the road. The president has neglected this KQ issue. And it must take now his personal intervention. I want us to look at how things have developed today, the 7th of November. The KQ pilot intimidation. Remember, the management had insisted that the flight, or rather the strike, was illegal. They fired the pilots at around 10 a.m. in the morning. Then the pilot jobs was advertised by 11 a.m. The CEO, Kilavuka, rejected the talks with the striking pilots at 1 p.m. and at 4 p.m. the CEO suspended the CBA. KQ files court orders to have pilots arrested and jailed tomorrow, that is the 8th of November, and they are saying, the CEO is saying that they abetted a crime, and that is economic sabotage. But for how long are we going to tell the Kenyan people about an economic sabotage that has been staged by the pilots, while us within the border, we may understand our problems? But don't you think that at the global stage, we are just trying to wash our dirty linen in public? What exactly is going on? Pilots have really put up some demands. And today I want to just look at it. There have been negotiations. Today on Monday, the Labour CS, Florence Bore, and the PS, Dr. Tum, was supposed to be grounded, was supposed to be held up in a meeting with the pilots today to address the issue. Kipchumba Murkomen, who went and even showed, if you look at this video, look at this photo here. This is a photo of him posing with the KQ guys, and he was putting out their merchandise. I remember some people taking an issue with that, saying that the arbitrator has already taken side. Kipchumba Murkomen was seen in this photo here, now trying to be very close with KQ, and Kenyans were asking whether he was going to be a neutral arbiter in this issue, because he came on, and I think after going there, he just went to dance in the grave of KQ, then walked out, only to start diverting people's attentions by the SGR, by the proxy SGR deals. And so government seems to have abandoned the KQ. And I have seen a concerted effort by Kenya Kwanza defense team that is Chergei, the Senate Majority Leader, and I've also seen Millicent Omanga. Some Azimio leaders have also been dropped in to narrow down the issues of KQ in the head of CEO. We are simply not, we are simply veering off from the real issue. I want us to listen. I want you to listen to this clip by the pilots. It will give you a good bearing on what exactly the devil in the details.
Wrong with Kenya is, and I shall highlight that. The problem that the government is facing right now, they need, one, to increase our foreign exchange reserves. We've got a problem there. We need to increase our volumes of trade and tourism. Number 3, we have a problem of youth unemployment. And then number 4, any funding into Kenya Airways should be more of a PPE, because no more loans are acceptable to the taxpayer right now. And our solution addresses those 4 pointers very well. In the recovery of Kenya Airways, we studied how other airlines recovered, like Japan Airlines in the 80s. They were in the same position. They had SARS. They were being bailed out over and over again, but they could not recover. So, having studied those kind of airlines, Delta Airways, American, Lufthansa, and so many other airlines, we came up with a plan and tailor-made it for Kenya Airways. One of our biggest problems is there's lack of professionalism in Kenya Airways and stakeholder engagement. The Kenya Kwanza government has gone around the country having economic stakeholder engagements. That is fundamentally lacking in Kenya. In the management, there is no tourism representation. There is no horticulture. The meat exporters have no voice in the board or in the current structure of Kenya Airways. And I'll show you the structure of Kenya Airways. Basically, if you look at it, it is a structure of a bank. Where the CEO sits, he's surrounded by security, a lot of the rest of the 14 directors, apart from one who is looking for revenue. The others are holding. At the end of the year, they want to declare how much they have saved from their budget. So in terms of revenue generation, we are practically at 1%. Our new current structure encompasses the key economic drivers of the country, which are transport sector, the horticulture, travel and tourism, remittance.
Apart from their bargaining issue on the deductions, or rather the stoppage of the provident funds, because these provident funds were contributions both from KQ and pilots, and they were stopped in 2012. They were stopped not in 2012, in 2020, during the coronavirus pandemic, which was understood. Of course, there were some austerity measures that were supposed to be taken. So, because the airline was a bit grounded. So what they have done, and I think the KQ seems to be holding a defense that the issues, the state of business is not yet well, and instead, what the pilots have now become, they've become economists. Listen to the way they're talking about what Kenya Kwanza did and did. And I mentioned this process is infiltrated. That strike has deeper details. If you listen to the CEO, he seems tensed, tired, and it seems the issue of KQ is being left to the CEO. Before you know, they will be going for him, that he has to leave office. I don't see him surviving. And it is simply the the KQ, this KQ plot, this KQ pilot strike has really provided a very good opportunity for the real people, power boys, to execute what I can call a coup. Now, there is a coup that is being plotted to suppress the airline. And of course, this conversation about suppressing that airline, it's very viable because there is already a stand that Rigathi Gachagua and a host of government officials have held that it's going at a loss, and it's been running at a loss because of state capture, where he's been saying that operation cost was high, And since the operation cost was high, government, the airline is being bailed by the taxpayers' money. And I totally agree that it should be on its own. If they are flying people, they are saying that they are losing 300 billion a day. That means that they may be making 300 billion a day. Is it billion or million? I don't know. I don't want to exaggerate it. 300 million, I think. Huh? They're saying they are losing 300 million a day. Which, if that is what they make a day, then honestly, they should be running. It should be self-sustaining. The airline has not been self-sustaining. But whether it's the books are not balancing, or the policies, or rather the model of business is not working, aren't we also seeing that a situation of selling that coup, or because they have not been in a position to create to bring profit, that's what we are living then. It's not a very good custom for the airline to be bailed by taxpayers' money. I totally stand in agreement with that. But again, we should also do, if even we are doing a restructuring, it should be done in a manner that does not create disruptions. In any, it should not be disruptive. Now, what will this mean? I don't know whether you would support privatization so that iwak kama Safaricom. It's other people's. Of course, it can be privatized, but open to maybe other stakeholders. If you look at what the pilots have shared is on the structure of management, and RUTO team seems to be having a plot to restructure KQ and plant their dream team. The approach is very effective of using key stakeholders. By the Pilots Association is a key stakeholder in the matters airport. So in the matters of airline. So this will start somehow in the middle of this conversation. Parliament I know is resuming next week, and one of the biggest businesses to address this issue, they will go after the CEO's head. And that mass exodus will start with the CEO. The pilots have spoken about the stakeholders, like horticulture, different sectors are not in. One thing I see is people or some forces are uncomfortable with the way the modus operandi at the airline. And what they're simply using is the pilot's genuine quest for their affairs, for their personal affairs, have actually been hacked by people who are also pushing some interest. There seems to be some other powers. Murkomen should be spending his time with this issue at the airport for it to be solved. After going there to dance in the grave, he has walked away. In the night, was releasing an SDR document, and before you know, he seems not to be talking about it. It is because it is going to take long. And if you are planning to fly tomorrow, bado kama uko still we ngoja. This thing is bigger than what we are dealing with. We are simply not dealing with an issue of paying, of repatriating the doctors. And if you want to know, it's also keen. The pilots have demanded that there were some 4 officials that were ejected from work, and they were ejected from work. They want them to be reinstated. They were ejected because they were behind this strike. However, the Pilots Association has also demanded that there are some 6 officials within KQ that are the people behind the delay, or rather suspension of provision of those provident funds. So, according to them, the problem is KQ management. KQ management, that's what the doctors are saying. So, the pilots are saying, and so they want some changes to be done there. And those changes must start by those 6 officials leaving the space. The AP is going to hijack this, and I can tell you that Kenya Kwanza will successfully get a new CEO at the helm of a KQ, and the new CEO is the person that will then change everything. Look, a very good model that has worked. Looked at DCI, they started with changing the DCI. Before you know, everything else has changed. And everything is going to change because the spirit of ending what they called state culture. It's going to take long, and people in power are not having the urgency of addressing this KQ problem because they feel that despite the fact that it's normally being built by public money, it's normally owned by some individuals. And not very difficult to say, Uhuru family. That the fact that Uhuru family names keeps on appearing there prominent makes people feel like if they are solving that problem, then they are solving it on behalf of some individuals. Because it has not been helping. It has not been helping the government to generate revenue. So, by the cake, you should generate revenue. Even if these dirty schemes are being done so that the airline can generate revenue, why not? I will fully support. But the pilot strike seems to have been hatched. And before they do, this is going to take long. Maybe when President gets from Egypt, he might take this upon himself and give a solution. That is my take. Let's meet in the next.